In 2017, we got the It remake slash reimagining, readaptation, whatever kind of terminology you want to use to talk about that film. And it came out to a lot of money, critical praise, a lot of people loved it, and it was a big hit at the time. I remember in high school going to see it, packed theater. It was a great theatrical experience, and everybody enjoyed it. The thing you probably didn't know is that it was not at all what the original intention for the remake was. Welcome back, GM Light here. Today we're talking about the original intention of It, what that remake was originally supposed to be, and the different creative decisions that kind of led to a split. Kind of commenting on how things did turn out. Obviously, we got this very commercially successful horror movie. It's very appealing to mass audiences, enjoyable characters. It was a fun movie, but something I gotta say is that it doesn't hold up nearly as well on rewatch outside of the theater. I really enjoy it. I enjoy these characters, and I still have a lot of fondness for this movie. It's mainly those characters that I kind of revisit it for at this point, because the scares just really do not work at all for me at this point. Most of it built off of a theatrical experience. That's why it's so night and day going to the theater to see it versus how it was at home. The sound design is entirely different. It actually makes this movie kind of a pain in the ass to watch at home because you're just dialing the volume up and down because you don't want to get blared by a jump scare. So much of how it got you in the theater was that sound design and just that inequivalence between the talking scenes and the scares. The scares were so fucking loud and screechy. You have Pennywise doing the thing. It's just very surprising, kind of jarring in the theater, but at home, not so much. And the thing is that is not at all what the movie that this was originally intended to be. If you look back in the past, you'd see that Cary Fukunaga, most known for directing and writing that first season of True Detective, very great season of television, probably one of the best. And he wanted to take kind of the approach that he took with True Detective with the material of It. What he was going for was a more cerebral horror movie. He wanted to lean into the cosmic, weird stuff that the book provided, that they sort of shied away from a bit in the movie. They do a kind of surface level analysis of the deadlights. They don't get into the turtle, the macroverse type stuff that they really delve into and just causes for some of the more trippy parts in the book. And that was what Cary Fukunaga wanted to lean into a lot. And this is ultimately what made him leave the project, was the fact that the studio didn't want that. They wanted a lot more commercially friendly movie, more in line with the movie that we ended up getting. Jump scares, scary clown, market it that way. And the thing that's tough about it is that this is one of the times where a compromise like that actually worked. When I first heard about this and this change of directors, Cary Fukunaga leaving the project, Andy Muschietti joining, Andy Muschietti's only track record at that point was Mama, which was a middlingly received horror movie that not a lot of people talked about, versus Cary Fukunaga, who directed one of the best seasons of television ever. Something that Cary Fukunaga demonstrated so well in True Detective was his ability to kind of develop characters, build them out, build out their motivations, tackle some kind of bigger, out there ideas in a slower paced way, but also ramped up the excitement, ramped up the intensity, and even kind of the fear when he needed it to. That's something that I really wish I could have seen him provide in an It remake. Not only that, but Will Poulter, of all people, was officially cast as Pennywise. Very odd to think what that could have looked like. Sid from Toy Story as Pennywise. Probably would have been a completely different performance from what we got from Bill Skarsgård, and I'm sure that he also would have probably tried to carve his own way and not be too much like Tim Curry. All this to say, though, is that it's such a fascinating exercise in what if. I assume it probably would have taken the same route that the movies that we did get took, breaking up the adult portion, the child portion, into two parts, and then having kind of the end of the second part tie them together in a way that's nice and neat, wraps it with a bow. I don't mean to trash the movies that we did get. I honestly don't. I still have a lot of love for both of those movies. I just think that they are, for different reasons than some other people at this point, I really don't find them scary at all. I just think that the CGI has aged like milk, unfortunately. Ruined a lot of the great scares that I remembered fondly from the theater. But unfortunately, kind of when you take it home, unpack it, there's not a lot of substance to the scares. And then the scares that actually do have a little bit more to them is actually just kind of the moments where Pennywise is being manipulative, where he's trying to lure a child in. I actually think that's some of the better stuff. It's just that when he becomes a CGI monstrosity, that's when it all falls apart for me. But at the end of the day, what those movies do really well is that they represent the characters from the book really well. They're coming of age, the way that they deal with things as an adult. That's what I really remember the movies that we did get for. But I think that this one would have gone for a totally different approach. I think it would have been a lot more psychologically haunting. I really wonder what the CGI would have looked like on this movie. Again, not to bash on Andy Muschietti, because I actually do like pretty much all his movies, but he has a pretty solidified track record of just awful CGI between The Flash and the two It movies. There's clearly something going on with either the studio that he hires to get that done, or just the way that he manages it, what he looks for. I think that he's just out of touch with that whole CGI thing. And seeing what Cary Fukunaga could have done is just an interesting thought, especially too how he would visualize these extremely cosmic and weird concepts. I honestly don't even know how he would do it, because it's just such an out there idea, especially the turtle, whether he would have actually had the balls to go for that. That interests me for sure, but ultimately the studio just didn't want that type of movie. Too much risk, too much money to put in the eggs of the basket of Cary Fukunaga, too many weird concepts that I think that they just didn't have faith in. They got cold feet, they pulled back, and we got the movies that we got, and they were successful, which is kind of odd about it. So there was never really that longing to see what Cary Fukunaga actually would have done, because the movies we did get were successful. But I'm curious what you guys think in the comments section. Would you sacrifice the movies we do have to see what Cary Fukunaga would have done? I would love to hear. I'm very curious what your guys' thoughts are. I'm GM Light. Have a good one.